make some cornice boards for Jace's bedroom, and I'm going to tell you what you will need for this project. You're going to need some wood glue. You need a staple gun. You have a compressor gun, staple gun, that's fine too. But for the few staples that I'm going to use, I think I'll be okay with this standard stapler with the banded staples in them. I think they're about a 1/4 inch. You'll also need some particle board and 2x4s. I use the just the regular band staples that come with them. I think they're about a 1/4 inch. And I took and I put wood glue on this piece, stuck it to here, stapled there and stapled there. And then I did the same for each side. And so that's how they're being held together right now. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let the glue dry overnight, and then I will go back through and reinforce with additional staples. These are going to be upholstered cornices, and this is my first go at it. So I would encourage you, anytime you're doing something for the first time, there are a ton of YouTube videos out there with people who have already done it. And so that's typically how I tackle a project. When I'm starting for the first time, I spend, an hour or so on YouTube just looking up some different tutorials and videos on how to do some things. And a lot of times that's how I get started. So now, I don't know if you guys remember, but we did a garage to playroom makeover for Jace this Christmas before last, before we left North Carolina. And this was the backdrop. If you haven't seen that video, you should go to YouTube and search on garage-to-playroom-makeover and check that out. And you'll see these. This is like, I had to have this fabric. It is so fun. And for his room, I just thought it was perfect. And so a lot of the elements that were in the playroom, we were able to repurpose it here once we moved to California and in his room. And so the color scheme still works. And so this is the fabric that we're gonna use. I don't wanna, it's still good fabric. And so I'm gonna use this to cover the cornices. As far as measurements, it'll be the size of the cornices, including the pieces on the end to give it some depth. That size plus an additional maybe 3 to 4 inches all the way around. And so that's what I'm about to do, is I'm gonna measure this and I'm gonna cut this, and then I'll pick back up in a second. Okay, so now that I've measured my fabric, I am now going back and measuring batting. And batting you can get from any fabric store like Joann's Fabric, and it's not all that costly. But this particular batting that I have, it's left over from a previous project, so you see it's kind of thin. The other option you could do is, if you wanted something a little thicker to start with, is they have the foam, the green foam. And they have that in like thin, very thin, maybe, I don't know, 1/2 inch thick green foam. So you could go there. That tends to be a little more expensive. So I had this left, and so I'm going to use it. I have enough for one cornice, but because it's so thin, I'm going to double it over. Okay, so I have placed the cornice kind of midway center on the fabric and the batting. So as you can see, I have some here. Just want to make sure that what I have will go all the way around and allow me the space to staple. And this was the one that I was telling you where the width of the bolt, it is what it is, and so I'm gonna have to work with it. And so as you see, I'm cutting it pretty close here, wrapping around on this end. I hadn't checked this end yet, so let me check. All right, so it'll make it around, and what I may have to end up doing on this one, instead of stapling on the back side, I'll have to staple on this part of the deal. So it's okay, we can make it work. And so that's a part of being creative, is being able to improvise. Now this has a pattern, so you'll want to make sure that the pattern appears as if it's going to start and stop the same. is on each one, and I think I'm okay. Now the key here is to pull tight and staple. And you want to do this maybe at least every 1.5 to 2 inches. And as you're pulling, just kind of check your pattern every once in a while to make sure it still looks like it's aligning. And to make any adjustments, do it while you can before you staple. So in that situation, just now, I felt like I needed to make some adjustments. Now I will say, if it wasn't so late, I would have my automatic nail gun, the compressor deal, because it goes a lot faster. So I'm gonna just continue this all the way around, and I'll show you what I do when I get to my edges. I'm getting to an edge, so I kind of wanted to show you what I'm going to do here with the edge. And I may need to move the camera around here just so that you can see what I'm doing. If you've ever watched wrapped Christmas presents, that's essentially what you're going to do here. So as you're going, you're going to pull this as tight as you can, and you're going to pull this down like that. Sort of like wrapping a Christmas present. I still have some staples that are sticking up, and so I'm just gonna go through tomorrow and do that pretty quickly. See, just flattening them out where I can so that they're not bulky. All right, thank you. So I've gone through and I've cleaned up all of the excess. This is the part that'll be up against the window, which nobody can see. And then this is how we did on the front side. So that is my first go at a cornice board. Very modern look that you can achieve with your fabric selection.